It is 6:30 p.m., March 24, 2025. I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Old Saybrook Police Commission to order. We'll begin with a roll call. Present is Alfred Wilcox, Chair, Renee Shippey, Vice Chair, Jill Nutter Francesco, our Secretary. Jessica Kaye is present virtually.
Hello.
Mark Soliano is present and Carl Van Dossel is present. Commissioner Jacqueline Prast is not able to attend tonight. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Comments from the public. I would remind people we have a 3-minute limit. If there is anyone in the live audience who would like to make a comment at this time, please come step up.
Yeah, I would, because you don't have one after.
Yes, we do.
Where?
It's on the second page.
We have one late at the end of the meeting too, if you'd like to wait until then.
On the back page. I just want to know why you're interviewing people for officers when we haven't even straightened out the department as it is now. Huh? I would like an answer.
This is not question and answer, sir. It's a public comment.
That's bullshit. How are we gonna find out what your intentions are?
Be patient, sir.
You guys should really be the two.
Do we have any other comments in the live audience? How about on the virtual audience?
We have one hand raised.
Okay,
Mark.
Mark, please.
Hi, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
even have a comment, just to say that you're barely audible online.
Yeah, I can barely hear you guys either, to be honest.
Larry, see what we can do.
We will see what we can do.
What kind of selectmen is it?
Turn it up a little bit, see what happens.
Mr. Chairman, how come the selectmen is it?
Let's go on to item 3. The meeting minutes for our regular meeting of February 24. I invite a motion to approve as submitted.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comment, corrections, additions? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Unanimous. I invite a motion to approve the minutes of our special meeting on March 6, 2025 as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments, any questions, any additions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Unanimous. Correspondence, I have nothing to report other than what I've already circulated. Does any other commissioner have any? Executive reports, chief.
Thank you. Good evening. I know correspondence. You saw that I emailed that gentleman back. Oh, great. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this rainy edition of the Police Commission meeting. For fiscal year 2025, the operating budget, the commission has been provided with the normal documentation on the status of our current budget and our off-budget account. Sorry, I'm combining those on the agenda. Is there anyone that has any questions regarding the 2025 operating budget? I currently have no issues and believe that we're going to finish in the black.
No questions. Any commissioners? All right. Budget process.
Thank you. I just want to thank any of the commissioners that showed up for the town meeting on the budget. It was relatively quick. There was not a lot of questions. I know the Board of Finance did meet the other night. I don't think there was any action taken on our budget. I was not at the meeting. I don't know if anyone. Yeah, I have not heard anything. I think I would have heard something. So as far as I know, it stands. Oh, Paul Carver. Anything happen at the Board of Finance meeting?
Things happen, but not anything on the budget. We're probably gonna approve the budget, our next meeting, April 1st.
Great. Hopefully without reduction.
Don't get, don't.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
Thank you, Paul. In the off-budget accounts, everything looks to be in line. If anyone has any questions, I'll be really happy to.
No, it's all set.
If it's okay with you, Mr. Chairman, I'll go on to personnel matters.
Please.
So good news, patrolman trainees Fox and Rankin will go from patrolman trainees to patrol officers. This week, they'll be graduating from the police academy. And then, once they come back, they will go through, as has been done before, kind of like an OSPD version of an academy to learn everything, how we do different things. And for the first time, we will have to send our graduating recruits to an emergency medical responder course. So this is the first police academy class that we've had recruits in where that has been removed from the curriculum. So that certification now lies on the department's shoulders, our responsibility to get them certified. We've identified 2 different classes, so we're gonna pick the one that works the best. So that'll either happen at the very beginning of their field training experience or throughout their field training experience. But certainly by the time they have their 400 hours in, they will also, in theory, be certified as emergency medical responders, which they will have to be in order to get off of their field training designation. Sergeant Ciccone sadly still remains, yes.
Just a second. Can you give us any background on why that was dropped?
There are probably fewer and fewer law enforcement agencies that utilize their personnel the way we do, being the state of Connecticut Department of Public Health's designated EMS first responder. And so the theory of the post council and the police academy has always been, it's a great certification to have because if someone needs help or if a fellow police officer needs help, you're able to render aid and you know what you're doing. But I think as more unfunded mandates came into the police academy curriculum and a lack of an appetite of the chiefs to extend the time that a recruit is at the academy, I think they were looking to move things out of the curriculum that were not required by statute. And so the EMS training, not required by statute. They still do CPR certifications and some stop the bleed stuff, but nothing to the level that we require to maintain our license with the state, our certification with the state.
A loss?
I think it's a tremendous loss. Yes, I think an absolute tremendous loss. I did voice opposition when it was being discussed to certain folks up at the academy, but again, we're in the minority when it comes to providing that superior service to our citizens. So we'll get them the training that they need and we'll go from there.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Sergeant Ciccone sadly still remains out on his work-related injury. We believe he's going to be out for at least another month at this point, but we're eager for him to progress, which he is doing. And so we wish him well and continued success, and hopefully we will see him in about a month or so. With respect to professional development, please. Great. So our 2 new sergeants have finished their first line supervisor certification school, and they are in the process of doing the department's own training program. So it's kind of like a field training program for newly promoted patrol sergeants. So that has been happening for the past week, and the previous week they were at that certification class. So that's going very, very well. We anticipate that they will be on their own, hopefully by next week or the week after that. And then April 1, the schedule is perfectly aligned for them to be in their positions full time. And obviously there's some action later on your agenda that helps get us to that goal. So we can talk about that a little bit later. And then going down to the activity report, I had sent out a couple different revised reports to try to meet the request of the commission of being able to have data to compare from last year. And I'm interested in any feedback on whether you like the format, you don't like the format.
I'll let Joel address that.
So it turns out we can't adjust this report. So we had to have someone from the CAD vendors, a vendor of the CAD vendor, adjust this report for us.
Okay, so I really appreciate all the work that went into this, and the attempt. I find the
Attempt is a bad
numbers,
word.
well, for me, it was an attempt.
Okay.
Mostly because I think it's very hard to follow.
Okay.
So, because you have to look from one month, January to the next year, it just is very confusing. What I was looking for was something far simpler than this, was to be able to include all of last year's numbers, and then at the tail end of the page, start feeding in the new numbers for this year. So it doesn't, I wasn't looking for the comparison of month to month, as much as just overall.
A trend over time.
Exactly, and it could even be rolling if that.
So I
if they're
first
able to
tried,
do that.
I tried a theory of like every month you drop a month,
Right,
and they would have to write a new report every month to do that.
okay,
I was like, let's teach the computer how to drop a month, but that was not an option. So that's why we chose in each January category, you'd have last year and current year.
right, and then you just put columns in here so you can fill the columns in as they go.
Can I ask you a crazy question? What if we just gave you last year's report each month with this year's report?
That would certainly be sufficient for me.
Okay, and then we don't have to do anything else. We just go back to the old
Just
report.
copy an extra.
As long as we, yeah, if you can do that. I thought you wanted to see a side-by-side comparison.
That's not what I was looking for. I mean,
Okay.
perhaps other commissioners might have been, but
No, I was looking for a trend.
Okay, so if I print, in this case, 2024,
exactly,
and put that in the packet every month
Exactly.
with 2025 as updated as it is,
Exactly.
according to your meeting, you're happy.
I am certainly satisfied with that.
That's very easy to do. Does anybody else?
May-
You're fine with
well-
that? Is-
May I just button, sorry, even if you, could you just like to make it simpler and save paper in a way? Like even just cut, like do the last year's and it, like the column in a different color? Does that make sense? Like you background the, one's in gray and one's in like blue, or one's in, does that make sense? Like 2024 would be, the highlighted background would be. No?
I understand what you're suggesting.
Okay.
I mean, my intention on all of this was just simplicity, and
Okay.
the current suggestion is a good one.
Yeah, and I think, Jessica, I don't think your suggestion is bad, but I think because the data is so tight on the sheet.
Yeah.
I think if you start coloring columns, I think it'll get very, very busy very quickly. So we'll just do that. If everyone's okay with it, we'll print last year's in its entirety. And then a second sheet with this year up to date, yeah. Are we giving you anything that you're not interested
No,
in? Okay.
not on the activity report.
Yeah, okay, great. And that is what we shall do.
Item G.
Thank you. So last month, we had talked a little bit about the PERF report. The commission had spent some time going through the recommendations that you folks dealt specifically with the commission, and we talked about, what about the ones for the department. So what I did for you is, obviously it's in draft form because it's proposed, but what I did is I put together an action plan. I guess for the town in theory, it started out just being for the department, but I took all 31 of the recommendations and listed them in this plan. And so I had two theories. One, I believe emphatically that this must be very, very transparent to the public. And so I envision, and it's on the last page of this, booklet, I envision this document being online in hyperlink. And so I can go to a PERF recommendation, hypothetically. They should change the color of the cars from blue to white. I should be able to click on that and then go to an information sheet, which each one of the recommendations has. And I believe what we should show the public is who is responsible to implement or explore the recommendation. What is the action plan concerning the recommendation from PERF? What is the status of the action plan? What's the next touch point, the next time the commission reviews what's going on with that action plan? And then any related documents. So if it's a creation of a new policy or a directive from the commission to the chief, someone could click on that document, it would be a hyperlink, and then a PDF of that document would come up. And so this is my recommendation for a structure. And then obviously we do not have the time tonight to go over all of my proposed action plans for each individual comment. But maybe that's something that we can do at a later time, once the commission has had an opportunity to digest this. And then you can edit the action plans as you see fit. But I think, I just thought we needed a document that we can show the public. We're working on this. This is our plan. These are the people who are responsible, and any documents that relate to it are visible to the public.
I think that is a very constructive suggestion. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And for the work that went into it.
You're welcome.
Who assisted you in this, that we should also thank?
That would be me.
Okay.
Jen checked my spell.
All right, any questions?
No, I think this is a great idea.
Do you want to spend any time on that, or are you just fine?
I
I
think we
think
can
I'd like
do.
to digest it.
Sure, absolutely. Renee, do you want me to send that to you in a PDF?
You can send it to me and I'll make it and I'll send it to you.
I'll just send it.
Both of them?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
free. It's just another address.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's move on to item 6, discussion and possible action concerning golf cart registration fees for the 2025-26 season. Chief, you have a recommendation?
I do, and can I just add one more thing on my executive report before we get to golf carts? I'm sorry. So April is Autism Awareness Month, so you're going to see the puzzle style ribbon magnets on all of our cars, and we have ordered pins for all of our officers to wear, so you'll see that on their duty uniforms during the month of April. And I just wanted to spend 2 seconds and let the commission know that we have, one of my executive goals this year was to enhance that child safety seat program. And so we have a car seat clinic planned in September. Patrol Officer Torje met with one of the certification instructors, and they went over our forms. We're updating our forms. We'll be getting some new updated equipment, so we're really be ready to rock. We've done a brand new flyer rather, that's gonna go out to the schools and all the daycares. And we've created a group email address, so parents can just email one address to get assistance for their car seat, and it will go to all of our car seat technicians. So we've really invested some time in that, and I'm really happy with where we're going.
Yes, that's great, because I was looking at the activity report, and it's very few people take advantage of the car seat.
Yeah, we gotta get the word out.
opportunity.
We just gotta get the word out. And so I think once we do, I think that'll be very busy. And what's great about it is we've talked about it, as an agency, more officers are interested in getting involved to become certified. So that's great that we
How
have
many
that.
we have certified so far?
So we have 3 people who are currently certified. Yeah, and one's looking to not be certified anymore, and there's some more looking to be certified. So you have to like crawling around the backs of very small cars. So sometimes you're eager to do that when you're younger in your career, and as you get a little bit older, you're not as enthusiastic about getting in the back of a Volkswagen.
Do we impose a residency requirement?
There's not, it's just like any of our services, we're more than happy. I mean, this is in the name of child safety, right? So anyone is welcome. I'm sorry, Renee, you know.
We did a health and wellness day with the Lions like a year and a half ago, and Amanda was there with a couple other police officers, and I think she was like 6 or 7 months pregnant. She was there with the pool noodle, showing people, and we did get people who showed up just for the car seat thing. There was a lot of people, like all pregnant women, of course.
Are the Lions doing that again?
Probably in the fall, maybe.
Nice. They had a town-wide baby shower event that Youth and Family Services hosted. I think it was at the library, and Amanda went there and was able to participate in that, so. Yeah, that's good. Golf cart registrations. So our proposal is the same as it was last year. $25 for the first golf cart registered at an address, $20 for the second, $15 for the third, and $45 for the vanity plate. So my hope is that the commission endorses and approves that notion, and we can get to work.
Okay, well, I am going to suggest that we modify it to a little point. I personally think that every registration for every cart should be $25 flat fee. Whether it's the second car, third car, it just should be $25 across the board.
And I think there's widespread support for that.
But keeping our vanity at 45.
Yes, the thing of it is, this is not an effort to raise revenue. It's just more an effort to keep the cost of it consistent from one to the other.
So 25 for every cart, unless it's a vanity, 45.
Right.
And Jill, I think it would be useful for the public to understand the information you were able to.
Well, I mean, I was pulling off information about what other towns charge for golf cart registrations. And if the information online was correct, it looked like Clinton was $75 per car, Westbrook 55, Guilford 35, Old Lyme looked like 50, East Lyme 35, Branford at 25. So we're clearly favorable. And I don't think $25 is a bad.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with it, totally, completely comfortable. I'm happy that you are keeping it 25. The reason why we try to make it affordable is it really increases the mobility of the senior population of being able to get from their house to the beach. Also helps young families when you have, 6 kids and 12 noodles on the way to the beach. And so we like to see it. Certainly has curtailed any safety issues that we had over the years, but if the commission wants 25 for every cart and 45 for a vanity, we can certainly get behind that.
I invite a motion that we approve the.
Wait, Chad, can I just ask one silly question? Does the radar on the police vehicles read golf cart license plates as well?
So oddly enough, it will pick up the plate, but it cannot run the plate.
Okay,
So the
So-
cameras on the cars that are part of the license plate system read anything that's alphanumeric. And so sometimes if we go through logs, we'll see street signs or business sign. It's just attracted to numbers and letters.
so if like a golf cart is going, I mean, I've never driven a golf cart, like if they're going over the speed limit, if they can, like it can't be read, or if they're unregistered, it can't be read, or?
No, so the license plate reader can only read registration plates that are part of the state DMV system, any state's DMV system.
Okay,
And this is not.
so how do we know if they're even registered?
Well, each year there's a different plate, so we would know if the current design was on the plate. And then
Okay,
the officers have the ability to check with dispatch and they have a master list.
okay,
Okay,
thank you.
You're welcome.
I invite a motion that we adopt a fee schedule for golf cart registration fees of $20 per golf cart,
$25.
$25 per golf cart, and $45 per vanity plate.
And then also, it might be helpful to put in there that the costs associated with postage and or credit card fees would be paid by the consumer as well, keeping that consistent from last year.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I got some discussion. Chief, there's gotta be a way that we can patrol better when it comes to the carts coming out, because the kids are, all young kids are driving these things. And they're, like, I came down the hill across from Luigi's, and there was a column of 6 of them. And they couldn't have been more than 15 years old in each of them. I know you can't spend a whole day down there and just monitor it, but somehow, if we could just, where those are used, just do something so the kids aren't on them. Because we get one and they'll all get the word out, and we just have to find one.
Yeah, I have a leadership team meeting tomorrow, so I'll certainly bring up the concerns. What we try to do, with everything we do, is we try to generate the voluntary compliance of the law. And so I think what my directive is going to be is stop and talk as opposed to take enforcement. This may shock you, but if we found a 14 or 15-year-old doing something illegal on the golf cart and we wanted to take enforcement, we would actually have to arrest that child. The juvenile cannot issue. I want nothing to do
No, I
with
don't
it.
blame them.
It's summer, happy. I just want them to be safe. So we'll communicate those concerns and that very directive to the leadership team tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 7, discussion with Attorney Burcham.
Wait,
We gotta take a
didn't call the
vote.
vote.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Unanimous.
Jessica Post.
Oh, I didn't.
Jessica
No, I didn't. I said I'm for it.
Post.
There was a delay, but there was definitely an aye.
Okay.
Okay, discussion with Attorney Burcham. Please come forward and welcome. For those of you who have not met John Burcham, he is a partner at Burcham Moses in Milford. And he has advised a prior version of this commission on this very question. To set the stage, we need any bylaw amendment or adoption of a new one requires a supermajority vote. There must be a written proposal submitted at one meeting and advanced to a subsequent meeting, and then the vote would be at that subsequent meeting. I have asked Mr. Burcham, Attorney Burcham, to be here to address the proposal that we had almost 3 years ago. And explain why it reads the way it reads, especially in item 4.
Sure, just which bylaw?
Sorry, that's a
Oh,
great
there's a,
question, Chief. Make sure we're all singing from the same song sheet.
Yes.
if any commissioner would like another copy, I ask.
Are we just looking at the existing one or is it something proposed?
This is a new.
Oh, okay, cool, thank you.
Can we see some of the teacher?
Thank you, sir.
Do you need copies or no? Okay.
All right, John.
So just by way of background, several years ago,
Sorry, it's so small.
I believe that there was a proposed bylaw that was discussed at the commission. And in terms of if a citizen complaint came to this board. And I know that I worked with the chief and Chairman Wilcox throughout the summer and fall of 2022. Because what you want to make sure is that any bylaw approved is consistent with both state statute, Connecticut General Statute 7-294 BB. And post model and post council's model policy 15-03, which sets up the parameters for citizens to make complaints. And the primary authority for that lies within the chief of police in terms of handling those, how they're received. Obviously, they can be written, oral, anonymous, there's a whole host of things. And the one kind of caveat we had is, okay, what if somebody has a complaint about the chief? And that's really what section 4 addressed. In terms of that's went through a couple of different machinations. If somebody comes to you, obviously, the reason why it has to be reported to the chief is the chief is responsible for issuing a control number. So it's properly documented. If somebody makes a verbal complaint, there's got to be, it's incumbent upon the town to memorialize it, track it, and make sure it's addressed. So that's really the background, which brings us here today. And I think that there were several different versions of section 4, if you will, and happy to discuss further my thoughts.
The commission at one point had adopted a version of this in which the commission itself, if there were a complaint about the chief, the commission would decide itself how it should be investigated, whether by a detective, an attorney, state police, state's attorney, FBI, depending on the nature of the complaint. This is different. And would you explain for us why that difference exists?
this current composition and why it's there is frankly, you're tasked by statute to potentially take both hiring and disciplinary matters against the chief. What this draft protects you from is any adjudicatory investigative bias, if you will. If you look at any of the cases, it talks where you don't want to be involved in each step theoretically.
You don't want to be prosecutor, judge, and jury.
Correct. So you separate yourself and create some sort of independence so that whatever the results of the investigation, which are then presented to you, you can take appropriate acts so that you don't have any inherent bias present by being a participant in any investigation.
I had one other question in the, you're familiar with the PERF report, you've read it.
I have.
On page 76, PERF says, quote, simply put, the police commission must play a stronger role in overseeing the department. Most importantly, the commission must ensure all allegations of misconduct against the police department's members, including the police chief, are fully investigated. In your opinion, is this version a happy step in that direction, a helpful step in that direction?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I mean, I think that having the bylaws, and obviously the chief can talk about General Order 4.6, which is based upon the model policy. Certainly it's covered, and you just want to make sure everybody understands the process in the event of a complaint. So I think this bylaw does that for the commission, so you know everything's going to be addressed.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Attorney Berkey?
Jessica does. She was,
Jessica?
Oh, okay, sorry. I'm a little out of it. I guess my only question is, I'm concerned about the whole oral complaint part. Just in the fact that I don't think that there's a process or a way to actually take the oral complaints. It's not even that I'm concerned about taking them. It's more, what is the process to do this? Like, if somebody stops me in the middle of Stop and Shop parking lot, gives me a complaint, how am I supposed to share that in the proper way? Without, even if it's an anonymous one or not? Like, I guess my question is, should we set up some sort of procedure, like an oral complaint form where I could come back and fill it out and then hand it in? Does that make sense?
Let me say my own view on this one, Jessica. We have oral complaints in here because they're required by statute. We're obligated.
Right.
I'm not sure that in our bylaws, we need to address every detail about how every different type of complaint might best be handled. I think bylaws deal in broad strokes. If we want to focus after we adopt this on, regulations to implement it, I think that would be a perfectly appropriate thing to do.
Yeah.
But I don't. So I think your concern is well taken. I think it's a little premature, and I don't want it to get in the way of taking steps that are lawful and are recommended by PERF.
No, 100%. And it's not that I don't want to pass this at all. It's more, without being morbid or something, like if we all get abducted by aliens, all of us at this table or in the commission, what are our, like, what are the next steps? Like, how are we thinking that this is going to be suited? That's all. But
If that happens, I'll give up.
All right. Well, thank you.
Can I add something just for consideration, if you don't mind? So we currently have the directive that the police commission has issued me, and we put kind of a threshold on the type of complaint. about myself or whoever the police chief is. This does not have that. So if a citizen bumps into Mark and says, man, the police chief was speeding on Main Street, in theory, that goes to the Board of Selectmen. And I'm not entirely sure if that's your intent. The chief of police, whoever they are, is the face of law enforcement in a small town. And so sometimes people like to accuse or place blame on normal routine enforcement action on the leader of the agency. And I'm not so sure that you want to set yourself up to tie that person up with multiple complaints to the Board of Selectmen. Additionally, the current policy, statewide model policy in our policy, allows for different methods to resolve a complaint. And I'm not so sure that those methods still exist for this one singular employee, whether that be me or somebody else. And so while I understand the concept, my suggestion is create some sort of threshold. So not everything goes right to the Board of Selectmen, who is not involved in any of our policies and procedures. And the board respectfully is not in our chain of command. So we would have to obviously adjust that for only one employee. And make sure that you're not removing the different methods that one can use to resolve or adjudicate a civilian complaint. Just things to think about.
Well, that's sort of also what I tried to communicate was, do we have sort of a level, or like you said, a threshold of what is quote unquote worthy? And I don't mean that in a negative way, it's just lack of a better word, to be a complaint versus a concern. So that's, I just think that in the future, that is going to be something that we are going to be held against. And I just, maybe we should start thinking about, the guidelines, that's all.
Food for thought to the chief's point and for the commission's consideration. As you look at paragraph 4, it talks about the complaint shall be. If you change shall to may, it gives you some discretion within that based upon the subject. Obviously, if the concern is not participating in any pre-adjudicatory investigation, if it's the chief had on a purple hat that you saw that he didn't like, well, okay, you guys can handle it.
He didn't pay the money for the shorts and he was wearing shorts.
Yes, something of that ilk.
Always paid more.
Yeah, right. But it does give you, in lawyer terms, shall has, some prescriptive connotations. Obviously, may gives you discretion to handle it yourselves. The important part here, obviously, is that it's received. How you react thereafter is important, only that it's not ignored.
So we can keep that the same as long as we change it to where?
To May.
So May, Mark.
Yeah, what's that? I'm just asking if we change that.
Right, no, you don't have the
Correct.
same copy, but it's this.
I think you do.
Not to make a joke out of all this, but the word may, wasn't that like a huge thing with the whole evaluation and how it's worded in the chief's contract? Like the word may. So just think about that.
No, my concern with the word may is that it implies that it may do something else too. A negative predicate.
Yeah, I think just to everyone's point, the way it's written now, you would have to ensure that there is consistency across the board on how this is received, because let's say it's 10 years from now, it's a different police chief sitting here, and Mark gets a complaint about the chief speeding, and he's like, yeah, I'll talk to him. Jill gets the complaint and says, ooh, that's going to the Board of Selectmen. Then there's an inconsistency on how that employee is being treated. And I think that that could potentially cause an issue. So I do think defining it is good. In our policy, in the statewide policy, we have like class A, class B. What is your thought on making this for like all class A, complaints? And that way it's definitely clear, provides the commission oversight. This is the first I'm seeing it. This is just my thoughts on setting you up for
This is the
success in the
first we're
future.
seeing it since 3 years ago.
Well, yeah, well, I didn't even know what we were talking.
Can I ask a question, Joe? In that word, could we have it say, shall/may, have both of them in there so that it covers us both ways? All we gotta do is put a slash in there.
I think that creates more confusion,
Yeah,
because they have. You don't know which one to pick.
Okay, yeah, okay.
I'm just
I
trying to
think
find.
if it's shall and it's forwarded to the Board of Selectmen, I think the Board of Selectmen will be very quick to recognize those complaints that it thinks need to be investigated further and those complaints that it thinks are frivolous or trivial. I don't see it as quite a serious problem.
Well, they have the meat, right? So if you're submitting a complaint to the Board of Selectmen, the Board of Selectmen has to convene a public meeting. Notify the employee that they're talking about them. I mean, Counselor, if I'm wrong, just stop me in my tracks. Notify the employee that they're talking about them, convene, and then come out and make a public action. So if their decision is, Chief, why don't you call the person and apologize for not signaling when you took a left onto Elm Street? That is a very bold move against a municipal employee. And so I don't know if that's really your intent. I think your intent is, look, if you get a complaint about your chief of police that can result in discipline up to and including termination, then you have to remove yourselves because you can't investigate and adjudicate.
What's the difference between a class A and any other class offense?
Just like a real serious events that could lead to termination.
Well, how about discipline short of termination?
Well, right now, under the current directive, we would talk about that in executive session. And the police commission has the oversight authority based on that directive that you've issued me to send it to the Board of Selectmen or hire outside counsel. And so I don't believe the current directive taints the commission in any way. So as long as they don't investigate. I think the key is you can't be the investigator and the adjudicator.
We all agree on that.
But you certainly can receive and disseminate. Right? Here's a complaint about the police chief. Whoa, this could lead to serious discipline or up to including termination. We can't have anything to do with this. Therefore, we're hiring the law firm of Bertram and Moses to investigate this and come back and brief the commission. That I think is appropriate. What you're doing now is, I believe, and I'm not being insulting in any way, I hope everyone understands that. What you're doing is you're taking your oversight authority and passing it on to the Board of Selectmen. Whereas I think you should retain that statutory authority and delineate or dictate rather who is going to do the investigation.
Could we change it to it's up to the discretion of the police commission? I don't know where you'd put that, but instead of shall forward it on, it would be up to the discretion. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not trying to throw a wrench in what you would do. I just like the collaboration of thinking the what ifs.
The original version of this said that the police commission would decide how the investigation should be conducted. And the wall that we ran up against was then counsel, Mr. Cronin, said the commission doesn't have that discretion. It has to send it to the police department. We have different opinions.
Right. But then you gave me the directive on what I have to do with that complaint. And so if I violate a directive, that's a problem for me as an employee. And so that's how it's currently set up. Just so the public knows, there is definite oversight over complaints against me after the commission voted to issue me that directive.
Right. But I'm trying to make this more comporting with what I understand Perf to be saying here. and not have the intermediary be the person who's accused, which is the chief. I'm having to just, want the commission to be the decider who handles this.
Yeah.
Then you would have to change the verbiage then, because right now you're not the decider, you must pass on.
Right, because this is where we ended up 3 years ago. I would much prefer what we had 3 years ago, except that also had at the end a catch-all, or the commission would investigate itself. The commission itself would conduct the investigation.
And I would not advise
And we
that.
would take that out.
I would not advise that.
So let's look at that.
I just don't want a commission bylaw to make it impossible for someone to serve as the chief of police because they're
Well,
worried if they
and I
take an
don't-
action.
And I'm not worried so much about that because I think we have bolder people. I don't think you would be hamstrung.
No, but if it's 10 complaints in a week going to the board of, if there's some sort of political, let's get the chief theory. And, he didn't signal here, he sped over here, he was mean to me here. And now they're all going to, I just think that's unfair when the statewide policy clearly allows every other law enforcement officer in the state of Connecticut, all these other remedies. And there's not a different chief certification as there is a Connecticut law enforcement. So we all hold the same certification card. I understand what you're trying to do. Those are my suggestions. And I'll be quiet.
Well, John, if we go back to that earlier version and strike out, I don't know if you ran across that in your review.
There are a lot of versions, but I trust I can find it.
Yeah. My suggestion would be that we table this tonight and that we see what we can adopt.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that. Obviously, I think, the notice provision to the
Mandatory.
chief is required. And I was also looking for a copy of my general order 4.6 to explore the threshold. Maybe that's the way to
And
get
if you
there.
want, I can give you a copy of the directive they issued me too, so you can have all the data.
Appreciate it.
Come up with, because maybe there's good verbiage in that directive that can go in your bylaw.
Yeah, I think that was more open-ended,
Yeah, I'll give them, look at it.
my recollection.
I make a motion to table this until next month.
I would second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any negatives? Unanimous? Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank
Yes,
you all.
thank you.
Thank you, good seeing you.
Good seeing you.
This is the, they have a lot of cars.
Oh, very nice.
And then, it's a puzzle piece.
Okay, item 8, comments from the public before we go into executive session.
Yeah. When is the town gonna get the decision on the birth report that we've been waiting for such a long time? We're paying attorneys, we're doing all these things. The results were in the report, and you failed to act on them immediately. So now we're into March, going on to April. When are we gonna get them? When?
Thank you, sir.
This is ridiculous. You should be changing, you should be able to answer questions.
Thank you.
You understand?
Thank you.
This is doing the town no, but how come the selectman wasn't here? You guys are hiding everything and taking your time. The town paid $98,000 when I told them back when they initiated this, they were wasting their money, and this is a sure example of it.
Any other comments from the live audience? Any comments from the virtual audience? Please raise your
We have
hand.
one hand raised.
Mr. Galong. Mr. Galong, 3 minutes.
Thank you. Well, I'll just, based on what the gentleman said previously, the master of manipulation and deception has struck again. And he continues to maintain perfect balance, keeping this board under his total control by gently suggesting things that even imply that he wants to be exposed to adjudication, when in fact, everything he's doing is setting himself up to be protected. Now, the greatest irony, he's come up with a document that obviously explains the perf report, makes suggestions as to what to do next in his estimation. And I can guarantee you that none of it points the finger at the only place where all the fingers should be pointing, and that is directly at him. You know, if he were a pilot flying the plane and the plane crashed and the plane crashed again and the plane crashed again, and a board were summoned to examine his abilities and the reason why the plane crashed, to give him another plane is just absurd. It's even more absurd to say, okay, chief, you explain why the plane crashed. You're the one who will explain to us why the plane crashed. It truly is beyond belief. An investigation has to be started. An investigation which the board can meet without the chief present and talk honestly and openly. The gentleman was right about a couple of things. The town voted overwhelmingly to do the perf report and voted to pay for the perf report. And what has happened as a result of the perf report? Nothing. And the chief now is making sure that the deception is perfect, and he'll be moved aside again. It'll be moved aside again. You know, the insurance company, if I were the insurance company and another incident came up, I would say, we're not going to pay. We're not going to pay because the town has not acted to prevent other things from happening that require our money to cover another incident in which the chief was involved, that involved
20
racism,
seconds. 20
that
seconds if
involved
you'd like to wrap up.
racism or overwhelming incompetence. Please start an investigation.
Thank you, sir. All right, any other comments?
No other hands are raised.
Thank you. 9 and 10, I invite a joint motion to enter into executive session to interview candidates for position of patrol officer and per diem patrol officer.
Inviting.
We invite the chief, and
Thank you.
as the candidates are discussed, the candidates in sequence.
I will make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. It is 8:29 PM. We are back into public session. Item 11 on the agenda is discussion and possible action to appoint an individual to the position of per diem patrol officer to serve as a school resource officer. I invite a motion.
I have a motion to appoint
No.
Joseph Popovich to the position of per diem patrol officer to serve as a school resource officer upon the successful completion of the hiring process at a date and time selected by the chief of police.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any abstentions? Item 12.
Charges against Sherry Cheval were dropped by the state after testimony from.
What I do? Sorry.
Just shut off whatever you have going on in the background.
Item 12, discussion and possible action to appoint a post-certified individual to the position of patrol officer. I invite a motion.
Yes, I have a motion to appoint Taribo Barrett to the position of patrol officer upon the successful completion of the hiring process at a date and time selected by the chief of police.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Unanimous. Item 13, comments from the chief.
Thank you. Just want to thank the commission for their actions tonight. Something I mentioned in executive session, which I think is great for the public to hear, is out of the 25 full-time law enforcement officer positions the Old Saybrook Police Department has, with your action tonight, 24 of the 25 positions are now filled. The remaining position at your request has been left vacant for a potential future second in command position. Tonight's milestone exemplifies what the agency has been through over the past 18 to 24 months. And throughout that time period, I think we all should acknowledge the hard work and dedication of our existing patrol staff for working all those extra shifts while the commission and I partnered together to rebuild the agency. Now having 24 of those 25 positions available, we are able to do lots of things. Number one, we're able to restore a little bit more of a work-life balance for our dedicated police officers. We're also able to expand and to do the things that we weren't able to do over the past 2 years because we've been focused on just filling shifts and responding to calls for service. And so you will see now some enhanced community service activities. You will see more activity in our criminal investigations division as we rotate personnel in and out of there. And so as I've been saying for several months now, OSPD is back. And some of that credit not only goes to our police officers, but to this commission. And despite what was going on politically, studies or whatever, you followed the path and did what was best for the police department operation. And that was continue to hire, and at last meeting and a couple meetings ago, continue to promote. And so the operation now is whole, and I thank you for that on behalf of our agency and on behalf of the citizens of the town of Old Saybrook. OSPD is back, and I can't wait to see where it goes. Thank you.
Comments from commissioners. Mark?
Yep, I got something I'd like to say. I want to apologize to Lieutenant Walsh and Lieutenant Mulatto for using an abstain vote to approve hiring you as lieutenants. In public, I wanted to praise you both for doing a great job in the interview. I also want to tell you that I support you 100%. I emailed this to both of them, and I know you both will do a great job. Thank you.
Mark, that is much appreciated.
It needed to be done.
Thank you for doing that.
Joe?
I just want to congratulate the 4 newly promoted individuals. And I know they will make the agency stronger and better through their passion and commitment.
Thank you. And Joe, not to interrupt, I want to thank you and Jessica for being able to attend the swearing in ceremony. So thank you very much for doing that. I hope you enjoyed that.
I did.
And I would have if I hadn't been.
If you weren't been, great.
I would have too.
Yeah, so thank you for those who were able to make it, but I hope you enjoyed seeing the camaraderie and the
It
family there.
was great.
Carl?
I want to congratulate the promoted officers as well. And I think we have a really good foundation here for a good group of police officers dedicated to the town of Old Saybrook.
Renee?
I pretty much echo everybody else's sentiments, and I did say last time that it was not about Ryan or Stephanie. I think they're great people, and I do think they'll do a great job. That's it.
Jessica?
Congratulations, everybody. I have nothing left in me to say. I'm sorry.
We've already acknowledged the candidates for promotion and for hiring. I want to thank the chief for bringing them along, bringing them to us, despite all the turmoil. I should go to Mark as well.
Thank you.
Anybody I a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.